Those girls have given me nothing but joy and pride. Being kicked off the force created a situation where I had to come to terms with my shortcomings. I didn't fail because life was unfair. I failed because I was a cocky asshole who made poor decisions. Without that failure, I would have never been a Green Beret. I would have never found my calling. I would have never reached my potential. Thank God for those failures that night. The guy standing on the beach looked at life as a scorecard that you win or lose. He thought failure was the end. He was an idiot. The guy in Iraq who got beaten up for not being a team player couldn't have succeeded in the rescue efforts I undertook with this amazing team. He would have wanted to lead it, to show everyone how good he was instead of contributing to that group efforts. He's an idiot, but it's okay. He was an idiot. In the Army, graduating from a soldier to a non-commissioned officer, you earn the title of sergeant. And the moment you earn those stripes, the upward-facing rockers that affix to your uniform, those stripes are the symbol that you show you are a leader, that you assume responsibility for yourself and those around you. It took me a lot to get there. It's been a hard road. And every step of the way, every additional rank, every additional achievement, and every great success has required me. I have had to sacrifice more, suffered more, and yes, failed more. Failure isn't final. It is necessary. It is the fuel that allows you to appear to succeed. To earn those stripes, you need to earn those scars first. I took a deep breath in through the nose and out through the mouth, pulling my stomach to the back of my spine. My mind is calm now. My eyes feel heavy, and I lean back into my seat. When I wake up in Atlanta, it will be my birthday. I will be 42 years old. I'm excited. This is the beginning of a whole new, amazing year of failures and suffering. I can't wait to get started. All right, so this book is by Tim Kennedy, Scars and Stripes. It's a great book. Highly recommend reading it. Now, let's get into it. I'm Saber Main. That's Reaper1. And this is Fiddler Talk. All right, so let's get into what we're talking about. Why we picked this book is because it's talking about failures. And it has a lot of great stories in there, and it's talking about how he failed. And that's what we're talking about. We're talking about failing. What failing can be like. Failures in life and just failing overall. I had this saying, failure is not an option. And what I mean by failure is not an option is in life, I won't fail. But every day I fail. Because I have to fail to learn. You know what's one of the hardest things? It's not winning. Winning's easy. There's a rule book how to win, but there's not a rule book how to fail. So we're going to be telling a little bit of stories about my failures, and we're going to tell stories about Reaper1's failures and how we overcome them and how we continue to push forward. So let's hear some stories from you, Reaper1.
Oh, yeah, No, I wasn't frozen. I was just messing with you. Well said. First of all, well said. I'm surprised you got through that reading of that book in one try.
I know.
One try. It was pretty great. You would have botched it. Hey, it's first try, first go. Like, you would definitely go at the station.
Yes.
Friend, so, well done with that.
It's a go or no go, and it was a go on the station. So we passed. Here we go. It just took a couple of trial and errors, but we got there, right?
What? No, man. What? That was the first try. What are you talking about?
Yeah. So
anyways,
let's hear some.
Well said, man. And you're right about winning, man. Winning is really easy. Everybody wants to step up to the plate and win. Nobody wants to fail. A lot of people don't realize that winning is like failing is the cost of winning. which is a good motto to live by, man. Failing is the cost of winning.
Yeah, it really is. Another thing is, I think a lot of people are scared of failing a lot of the times, because they're scared for the opportunity. Like, there's an opportunity that's coming up, and they're so scared that they're gonna fail, so they don't take that opportunity.
Well, so failing, I mean, it's unnatural, right? It would be unnatural to want to fail. It would be unnatural to want to lose at something, or to want to, I mean, unless it benefited you somehow, that, that the failure is not going to benefit you, but, you had money on it or whatever, it would be really unnatural for a human being to go, I really can't wait to, like, not do well at this recital, or to get up there in that stage and sing this song and not hit that, hit, you know what I mean? To hit that real nice voice crack. Like, it'd be really, really unnatural for somebody to want that. So that's a big thing, is that failing is so unnatural to human beings. So to want to fail, people forget that you need to fail to grow.
I don't remember the quote off the top of my head. I should have pulled this up. I wasn't thinking about it until just now. It was talking about failure. Like, when you win, it's just a win. Like, you didn't learn anything. But when you fail, you have a lesson that you learned. And I messed up because I was supposed to record Saturday when I was getting beat up again in jiu-jitsu. So I was supposed to record and get you some videos. That's my bad. I think I'm not gonna be at the gym Monday to roll, but I will potentially be there Wednesday to roll. But I think we're doing judo.
I've been saving my combat sport for the Fiddler initiative. So eventually, when that happens, I can't remember if it's April or June or somewhere around there, I think, we'll get a lot of great videos of me getting my butt kicked as well.
Okay, so talking about that combat sport for the Fiddler initiative, I recommend doing it all the time because it's a character builder, and you're going to fail. I'm going to tell you.
It's going to be a lot of fun.
The first, like, I'm going to give the first 6 months of, like, actually training and stuff like that. You're consistently getting beat up because you don't know anything. These other people have been there longer, and they're consistently, and then you're going to start learning stuff, and then you're going to start achieving, and then you're going to be like, I'm taking little tiny wins, and this is great. And then there's always that person that beat you up. One of the guys that I was training with, dude, I think when I roll with him, he makes me tap within maybe 4 or 5 seconds. Nice. Every single time. My goal is to make it to 10 seconds. Every time I go in there, I'm like, again. And finally he gets to the point where he's like, hey man, are you done getting tapped? I'm like, no. One of these days I will make it to 10 seconds.
Man, pain is a construct, just forget about it.
Exactly. So, but yeah, things I failed in my life. All right. I have failed as being a brother. I have failed as being a son. I have failed as being a friend. I have failed in relationships, friendships. I have failed miserably, like bad, terribly. I have learned, and I'm still learning. I'm not a perfect human being, still learning to this day. And I'm trying to do better. That's all it takes, man. Life is crazy.
What I really want to know, this is what I want to know, right? Because when I think of failure, my mind goes to a seminar that Matt Hafey did on failure. You can look it up on YouTube. It's called Failure by Matt Hafey. And he talks about right. He's a frontman of a band called Trivium, and he talks about auditioning for his first band, which was a pop punk band. And it was his friend's band, and essentially the friend never called him back. Which is funny because he was, he'd been playing guitar. I think at this point he was like 9 or 10, something like that, and he was playing guitar, and he auditioned to be the guitarist in that band. And then like a year afterwards, I think, or a few years afterwards, another friend gave him the Metallica's Black album, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, I didn't know heavy metal was a thing. I didn't know it existed.
Yeah.
And so then he started to play heavy metal, and then he auditioned for his current band, which, they have, I think, 9 albums out right now, and been nominated for a Grammy and all kinds of great stuff. And he kind of talks about how that failure, if initial failure would have never happened, he would have never got the opportunities. Life would have never opened its doors to what it really wanted him to do. So what failure like really helped you in a big way? What failure molded your life as it is now, or who you are now?
So the biggest failure
was it smoking?
Yeah, it was definitely smoking.
I had to. Sorry.
So I was actually trying to get pulled up that video for you of the seminar that you.
It's about 40. I think it's about 45 or 50 minutes long. So.
Yeah. Well, I just
great
failed.
Video. I watch it at least once a year.
Well, I failed at pulling it up. Okay.
Well, there you go. He's got a great quote, and I can pull up the quote if you'd like me to.
Yeah, if you can, go ahead and do that, and we'll just.
But let me hear your story, and then I'll pull up the quote.
All right. So one of the things I failed at was when I went into the military. I was working an okay job.
It's always a great story when you go into when you started with.
Yes.
When I was in the military.
Well, it wasn't when I was in the military. It's when
when it starts off that way,
Yeah, it's the decision to go into the military, right? I was working an okay job. I made okay money. Like I was living okay, right? But I was sitting there and I was like, I don't know what I'm doing here, and I don't have my potential's not here. Like this isn't it. I don't see myself, because I was looking at the older guys and I was watching them, and they've been in the business for years now. Some of them been almost 20 years working this business, and I was like, I don't see myself being them. Like I don't see my life being that way. So I decided to figure something else out, and I ran across this guy. He was in civilians. And I started talking to him. And he's like, hey, you want to go to the gym with me? And I was like, yeah, sure. Why not? I was like, I used to go to the gym when I was when I played football. Like I stopped going to the gym once I got out of high school and everything. And so I went to the gym with him, started working out. And he was showing me things. And then we were basically doing CrossFit. And I was like, damn, this shit is beating me. Like, I don't know what I'm doing, and this sucks.
CrossFit?
Yeah. And he was like, hey, have you ever thought about joining the military? I was like, I thought about joining the military when I was younger, but I lost that. And he's all like, he's all, why did you lose it? I was like, when I was a kid, I used to play, like I was a soldier and stuff like that. And I sat there and I was like, I think that's what I wanted to do. But as I got older, I was like, I don't want to do the military. I don't want to do that. And then finally I ended up with this guy mentoring me, led me into the military. And with that, like life, I had a whole bunch of situations going on. Life wasn't 100%. Life was completely downhill. I was down on myself, down on everything. Self-esteem, everything was destroyed. I didn't know what I was doing. I was lost. And then he provided a direction, right? And he started teaching me that. And I know a lot of people are like, oh, I hate my recruiter. No, I actually enjoy my recruiter. The recruiter saved my life. Because I probably...
My recruiter didn't lie to me not once. He was upfront and honest with me the entire time.
Exactly. Like I 100%. He told me everything. He's like, hey, this is what you're doing. I had a friend in the military, and my friend would come back and be like, yeah, dude, I got to shoot 50 cals. I got to do this. I'm like, dude, that's what I want to do in life. I want to shoot big guns. I want to do that. Like what I'm doing right now is not fun. This sucks.
We have a very similar military beginning.
Yeah. And so, I go through, I do MEPS, and as I was going to sign the contract, I was like, nah, this isn't it. Like, again, I got to the point where I was second guessing myself, and I was like, this isn't it. I went away, and I went back to work, and I saw those guys again. And I was like, this is my future if I stay here. This is what I'm doing. This will be the rest of my life. And I was like, this isn't it. I'm not happy with what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm doing, but this is not my potential. I have more potential than this, and I'm fighting to find that potential. So I need to go find it. And then when I went into the military, like I went 100%, 120% all military. Like I was fully invested. And then I'm not gonna lie, 30th AG was an eye awakener, man, because it was different. I never had to leave home. I never had that opportunity. I never had to leave home because now I'm just like, oh, I signed this contract. Now I have to be here. And then being stuck in 30th AG was an eye awakener. Like that was my eye awakener because I'm looking around and I'm like, I'm hearing these other guys' stories like, oh, I joined the military because of this. I joined the military because of that. I joined the military not because I didn't have nothing left. I joined the military because I was lost. And I wanted to put my potential out there. I wanted to see what my potential was. And these other guys were lost. Like they didn't. Some of this was their last option. This is all they had left. Is when they joined. It wasn't my only thing I had left. So, and that was an eye awakener to me when I first joined the military. And then military went on. And then when I got out of the military, I have another like, man, I felt when I got out of the military, and I'm still picking up from that. So. Let's hear some of your stuff.
I like it, man. You know, first of all, I think we have a very similar military like upbringing, if you will. You know, I was working a dead end job. I was a stalker at Open Dixie, and there was guys there that had been there their entire lives as well. You know, there was girls working in front desk that were working. You know, they've been working there for 7 or 8 years now. You know, we're all talking. I just started when I was 17. You know, and like I'm 19 at this point. My buddy was going to join the Air Force, and he eventually did. I beat him to it actually, but he come to visit us from Ohio. He flew down to Florida to come visit us, and he was talking about going to the Air Force, and I was thinking about, you know, so I had it in my head, right? And then, like, you know, he's going to the Air Force. You know, I don't have a lot of other friends, but I'm sitting, you know, stocking shelves, looking around, like, is this really, like, what I'm doing right now? And I wasn't going to college. I couldn't afford college. I'm just sitting there looking around, you know, as I'm putting Cheerios on the shelf. Like, this is what I'm going to do with my life. And I was really afraid of getting stuck. So I was afraid of getting stuck, and that kind of helped me a lot. So fear helped me there, right? So I was on Indeed, like 20 minutes before I had to go to work, 20 or 30 minutes, I think. And I've been scrolling for like 15 minutes now, just looking at jobs, like saving jobs, right? And an army ad pops up, like 30-second ad, and I'm like, okay. Clicked on that thing, brought me to a page, right? An ad got me, believe it or not. And I was looking at, you know, I read a few things. You know, my dad was in, my buddy was going to go into the Air Force, and I'm thinking, sold.
You know what's crazy?
And I was not a nice person about it. My mom's very protective, and I walked down to my mom's room, and I was like, hey, I gotta leave for work here. I'm joining the military. Bye.
Okay, so I can tell you a story.
Freaked out.
So I didn't tell anyone, because I was going to do it. So I didn't join until I was like 20, I believe. I think it was like when I was 20s when I joined. But at 18, I was going to do it. I was going to join, and that's when I pulled back. Well, that I went around and I told my friends, like, hey, I'm thinking about joining the military, and everyone gave me their opinions on it, and I was like, man,
oh, dude, the opinions.
Yeah, so that's when I backed out. But when I went into when I did it the second time, I sat there and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna sit back, chill, and I'm not gonna tell anyone what I'm doing until I know exactly what I'm gonna do. And so when I went in, sat down, and I signed the first contract with the recruiter. I didn't sign it over at MEPS yet. And And I was sitting there and I signed that contract. I went over to my mom's and I was like, hey, I just joined the military. And my mom flipped out. She's like, you don't need to know. And I was like, well, it's too late. Like, I'm leaving in about a week.
There was a huge fight in my household after that. I got home from work at it was about 10:30, and I got home and my dad's like, "Come on downstairs." So I went downstairs and I sat on there. They have a bar downstairs. They have like a living room and a room down in their house, right in the downstairs area. Sitting down there and they're talking. My mom's talking to me, you know, like a mom does.
Yeah.
My dad goes, and he's in, right? He goes, we're gonna do research and we're gonna figure out things and we're gonna talk and we're gonna figure out this is really for you. If you really want to do this, if you want to do something else, right? And I'm like, man, like, I thought if anybody would be on my side, it'd be my dad. You know what I mean? He was a scout. Like, come on, right? So I go upstairs and I'm like, man, like, you know, I just took a few hits, you know, right in the face, right? So like, I'm upstairs. Yeah. I'm like, this kind of, you know, this sucks. And my dad like, hear a knock at my door, and I'm like, yeah. And he opens the door. He just peeks in. He's like, I'm proud of you. Don't tell your mom. Shut the door. Walk away.
So I got another question.
After that, I was like, okay, cool. Like, we're gonna do it.
Okay. So now I got a question for you. I actually got two things. There's something that you said I like. But did they ever show you the video, the scout video?
I saw it. Yeah, I saw it. But it wasn't. So full disclosure, I walked in and he was 11 Bravo and he printed off. I had like a 7 or 8, maybe 9 or 10 page sheet of all the jobs. There was like 400 jobs I could do or something like that. It was crazy. He's like, you qualify for a lot. I got really high in my
ASVAB
and shit. So he's like, we got a lot of jobs you could do. He's like, it's all the way from like it was like parachute packer to I could, you know, go to selection.
Be a rigger.
It goes selection for special forces like immediately, you know what I mean? But you fail your needs of the army and stuff.
Yeah.
Right. He's like, I can get you airborne if you want it. He's like, I got you a bonus already. He got me $16,000. Like he really worked out for, you know, he worked everything out for me. And I'm like, look, scout. He's like, scout. I'm like, scout. And he's like, okay, cool. He's like, why scout? I'm like, my dad's a scout. I want to be a scout. He's like, are you sure you want to be a scout? He showed me the video and he's like, go do some research on 11 Bravo. He's like, trust me, 11 Bravo. He's like, I like it. He's like, nothing against scouts. He's like, but I think you might like it better. He like highlighted 11 Bravo. He circled it with a highlighter. He put like 3 exclamation points all over the page. I couldn't even read the other 2 like jobs that were like between it. He's like, you trying to get me to go for it, but it was I was dead set on being a scout and being a real scout. So like I didn't go for airborne because I wasn't exactly sure what I wanted yet, and I kind of wish I did it, but I don't at the same time because I met, you know, my wife and some of the greatest friends I'll ever meet in my entire life. So it works out, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I feel you on that one.
But yeah, no, I saw the video. I think it's after I signed though. I think it was like, hey, come here, check this out.
So I'm gonna be honest. I never watched the scout video. I watched it once I got to the unit.
He showed me, I think the only video he showed me, the first video he showed me, and the only video he might have shown me that day was Combat Engineer.
Yeah, I never actually watched any.
For whatever reason, he showed me that video.
Basically, you know what sold me on it was while I was signing, like while we were signing, he's all like, what do you want to be? I was like, well, I know a buddy that he's a 19 Delta, so I want to be a 19 Delta. And he was like, are you sure you want to be a 19 Delta? I'm like, yeah, I want to be a 19. He's like, I'm a 19 Delta. Are you sure you want to be a 19 Delta? I'm like, yes, I want to be a 19 Delta. He's like, no, I'm telling you, I'm a 19 Delta. Are you sure you want to be a 19 Delta? I'm like, yes, I want to be a 19 Delta. So that he's like, listen, there's a whole lot of other stuff.
When we do our job, best job in the military.
Yeah.
Hands down.
Yes. I mean, I'm biased. I'm biased. Yes. I'm biased about it. Yes. And potentially with what I'm doing, like what I'm doing right now, hopefully by the time I get there, let's just say I'm gonna do something freaking unique once we get to that level of it, right? So We're not going to talk about it because it's in the work, right?
So
But-
I'm going back to failing, right? I'm actually pretty proud that I didn't flinch or like second guess myself at all. When I did eventually go tell my manager to put my 2 weeks in, he offered me. So I was doing all their work, right? I was doing the manager's job. I was in charge of the grocery, frozen, and dairy side as an 18-year-old kid. Because they didn't have any dairy employees. They didn't have any frozen aisle employees. We're supposed to have like 8 people back there. I had 3. I was in charge of detailing the store, and like I was in charge of the detailer for the store, which they pull the items to the front and make it look all pretty.
Yeah.
I had to help the front with carts and with bagging and with cleanup at the end of the night. And on top of all of that, my manager, who was on salary, so he could leave whenever he wanted to, one of my managers, he would go through at like 7 o'clock. He's supposed to close up and leave at 10. He would go through at like 7 o'clock, show me all the things that he wanted me to do because he had to do them, and then leave.
Yeah, see?
So I was making $8 an hour doing all this stuff, and then he's like, well, I could send you to the managerial school, and, you could get you promoted and get you making like $14 an hour if you stay. And I'm like, peace.
Yeah, man. I
He's
think,
like, nope.
yeah, dude, I sat there.
I'm proud that I made my decision up, you know what I mean?
Yeah, at that time that I was looking to join the military, I was actually in car sales. And don't get me wrong, like I did pretty well in car sales at my first couple months, and then, but here's the problem that I felt at during that is I would sell a lot of. I was doing well at the beginning of it during the summertime, and then we hit winter months. Well, what happens in winter months? Sales go down.
Nobody buys cars, duh.
Yeah,
Is it obvious?
I didn't comprehend that, right? So I was like, man, money's getting short, everything's getting short, and I'm like, I gotta figure something out. And I'm like, yeah, I could go do door-to-door sales and just go do a whole bunch of lists and do stuff like that. And then I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go do something that I want to go do. I want to go get paid to go work out, get paid working out, get paid to go shoot weapons and stuff like that. And while I was in the military, I mean, I still failed because I fell in that negative mindset.
Right.
Negative. I think everyone has. I think everyone at one point fell in that negative mindset.
Everybody, you always fall in that negative mindset, man. No matter what you do, even if you've been right. If I have, I can't see failing. I can't even talk. I've been speaking English since I was like 1, and I still can't talk proper.
Oh, bro, I fail all the time when I'm speaking English. I don't even know what English is. I took an English class, and I still fail at speaking it. So,
but yeah, no, I think if I had been playing piano since I was 9 years old, and I had won all these awards and written all these songs, I'm still gonna fail at it, man. I'm still gonna go and I'm still gonna mess up a note. So it's interesting. The biggest failure of my life, the one that impacted me the most, was pretty recently. In 2021, I've talked about it a little before, right? But my band, right? It was October like the 1st. The band had been we had all the stuff moved out of my room, and we had been playing and writing songs and stuff like that. And we were almost done with one of our songs titled "The Wicked." And we're like, okay, like what are we gonna do like when we get all these songs written? I'm like, I looked at them both. I had my drummer and I had my bassist there. I looked at them like, I got this studio, right? My buddy, shout out to Austin and his band Left to the Wild. Great band, go check them out. Right, I met him, we raced. He drives like a Kia or something like that. And he was trying to race me and my Camaro off post. And like we both ended up in Guitar Center, and I just bought a guitar. And I was bringing it out and like put it in my car, and he's like, "Oh, you're a guitarist?" He's like, "Did I race you off post?" I'm like, "You tried." So that's how we became friends. Anyways, long story. long story short, so he sent me the guys that they had just recorded their first album. So he sent me those guys that recorded their album. He sent me the producer and the mixer. So I shot him an email, and I'm like, guys, like, let's look, like, I can get us a date for like the end of the month. And he's like, great, yeah, and then they both like, let's do it, right? So, right, I booked it for the 31st of October. So on Halloween. Like, we're a metal band. We're like, this is great. Like, we're gonna go record our first single on Halloween. It's gonna be epic. Like, we're gonna, this is gonna be totally great. We have most of the song written, so we're writing a bit more. And at this point, right, I have my computer, my audio interface, and my speakers, and most of the equipment. No idea how to use them, right? You gotta remember, like, this is the point. I had just gotten this equipment not that long ago. We had just like started like writing and playing like full-heartedly together, confident in it, right? The song opening was great. The riffs were good. The drummer was getting the drum part down, and then all of a sudden, right, I had the lyrics down. We're working on putting them in, and all of a sudden, and my drummer had been having issues. He had a lot of personal stuff come up. Love him to death. He had a lot of personal stuff come up, and he stopped responding to the band's group chat. He stopped answering calls. He stopped coming to practice. Well, like, I'm sleeping on the floor. Like, my bassist is sleeping like on two desks in his bed in his room because he ain't got room in his barracks room right now. We're getting together every night to like get stuff together. And he stopped answering calls, and we're like, we had a buddy who could come in, and he hadn't been played drums for a while, but he was pretty decent, badass on the double kick. He's like, I can come in and try for you guys. He's like, until he comes back. We're like, yeah, if you can do that, that's great, right? So we came in. He started rehearsing with us. And this was like towards like when we finally got him to come in and help us. This was towards like 5 days left. 5 days. And we're in the military. We can't just sit and write all day, right? Yeah. So we had like one weekend. We had like 2 days to get this for him to and we didn't want to use our old drummer's music. Because we weren't sure where we stood with him, and we weren't sure if he would be like, no, like that I wrote that part, like you can't use it. Or, we weren't sure what he was gonna do. So we just decided to go scratch the whole thing and start the drumming from scratch. And so the guy emailed me, and he's like, hey, like, I need you to send me a scratch take of you guys playing. So I put it together. I recorded the guitar separately, the bass separately. Did our best, right? No idea how to use the drums. Did our best to record drums. And he's slightly off timing because he hasn't played drums in, 5 years. He's off timing, and he's off time signature. We didn't write any of that, but he's slightly off, And he's like, look, you can come in and we can try. He's like, and I'll work with you guys. He's like, or you can like give it another few weeks. We'll reschedule you, and you can try to find your. Because I told him the story, our drummer left, like that kind of stuff, right? And he's like, we'll work with you still if you want to. And we're like, no. He's like, well, like, I think we're good. We got the writing down. Like, we'll get there. We'll, I'm sure you can help us. He knows everything. He just got to get a little bit on time. If you can help us with that, it's fine. He's like, okay, cool. He was okay with it, right? So they didn't have a drum set. We weren't sure if they had a drum set, right? So we dropped $2,000 on a drum set. We went and bought good heads. That way we knew, because we knew like this snare, we like this snare, we like these crashes. We're like, we're good. We'll set it up. It'll be fine. Bought new strings. Got all that equipment, packed in the car, drove 3 hours away with the gas. Bought a hotel room for 2 nights. Not refundable, right? We lost like almost $3,000 because I gave him a deposit as well. Yeah. So it was like, I can't remember, it was like $300 deposit or something like that, right? So we get there, man. We're on our way to the studio, and we're so excited, man. We're on this next level of excitement and determination and just like sheer willpower. And I will admit that the take that I gave him, because I think we had so we had just found out that the unit was going somewhere, and we had to get ready that weekend. So we're like, and I told myself, I'm like, hey, like, we scheduled this about a month ago, and he's like, yeah, he's like, put in a 4-day pass, you guys would be good. So we put in our 4-day pass, we put in all that work, but like, we didn't have time to do everything the perfect way. So I will admit that the scratch take that we sent him wasn't the best. It wasn't supposed to be, though. It was just supposed to be reference. He didn't even need it technically. So we're so excited, right? We're so determined. The talent was rising in us. Like, we were finding it. We were finding new roads and new pathways. 3 hours. We're so excited. We get there, man. We went. There was a gas station right next to it. It was a sketchy hotel, by the way. Sketchy part of town. Like, it's crazy. But we go. There was a literally right next to it was a gas station. We walked there. It's late. It's not late, but it's later. We didn't want to buy a bunch of food and clog our arteries and stuff like that. So we bought some snacks and some drinks. Went back. I think we bought some pizza or something like that. Ordered some pizza. Or we ordered some food or something like that. And we watched 2 movies. We watched Young Frankenstein, and we watched Beer Fest. And we'll get ready to go to bed, man. It's like 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock, and we're gonna get good sleep because we got to be up there and be there in the morning. You know, we had time. We're military. We're gonna get that. You know what I mean? It's one of those things, right? So as soon as I'm getting ready to go to bed, I just happen to check my email. I get an email from this guy canceling on us. His excuse, albeit if it was true or not, was that we think it was because it's Halloween and he wanted to go and he wasn't super confident in us. But it was like, look, I don't think your drum is going to work out. I don't want to waste my time. Come back, when you're ready. And that was it.
Yeah.
He didn't have a phone number. We couldn't call him up. It was through email only, right? So he did. He gave us our deposit back, which was nice of him because the website did say no. You can't get your deposit back. But that was it, man. I'm like, guys, and they're like, what? Like, they're all, they're still excited. I had to tell them we're staying in this shitty hotel with mold on the ceiling and on the on the floors and in the bathroom and stuff, spiders crawling everywhere. That we drove all this way and spent all that money and worked our butts off and nothing.
Yeah.
And dude, I went for a walk. I was so discouraged. I was so defeated. I didn't want anybody to see me like that. I went for a walk. There were jokes made that I might have murdered a homeless person. I didn't.
I remember that. I remember getting that call. Man, we told everybody about it. We were so excited. Yeah.
Everybody in the unit, almost everybody, every time they saw us was like, when is the single coming out?
Yeah, I remember that call.
Everything's rushing, and you're like, man, I got to go back. And people are going to ask about this. And like, we failed. You think like, what could I have done better? Like, what did I do wrong? You know what I mean? Like you go through all these emotions and all these scenarios in your head. Like, what if it just could have worked out? And we went home in silence, 3 hours. Not a single word was spoken. Yeah. No music. I think music might have been playing really quietly though. We were, dude, drudging through the mud, right? So we took a big hit. When we got back, we started working and things fell apart a lot. And that is when I decided to learn audio production, to learn to be a producer, and to be an audio engineer. That's when I decided that's what I'm going to do, that I'm going to start a record label, and that I'm going to no longer rely on anybody else but my band and my teammates to get the job done.
Yeah.
So that failure, the whole moral of the story is that failure skyrocketed me to who and what I am today. to being a producer to having the knowledge to do a podcast,
Yeah.
to having this equipment and to going. I'm going to school to be a producer and to be an owner of a record label, and I have shifted the label to an active duty label, and we're going to go, and we got plans to go and help record active duty soldier like members, to help connect members
To other members.
to other members, and to help sign and produce their records while they're deployed, while they're in different states, and while they're away from everybody, while they're working a job that they can't leave, and they can't get a bunch of time, a week off to go to the studio without taking leave. We're working on a way to set up and bring them in every night. It's 10 minutes away, record for a few hours, and go home.
Yeah.
So we're working really hard on this. Fossilized Records, we're working our butts off on making this plan for everybody, and to getting this started and activated. And I'm working on my own music and producing my own music and learning the audio engineer way. I'm learning the producer way.
Yes.
And you learn real quick that if I was a producer, I probably would have worked with those guys. Their drummer quit, but I know how to program drums, and it's my job to help them.
Yeah.
It's my job to help shape the music. That's who you are as a producer. And
exactly.
And you learn certain things, and you're like, man, I really would have handled it differently. I'm going to handle that differently. And you learn that failure was the catalyst to everything I'm doing right now.
Yeah, that's amazing. So I actually got two stories, and I have one that kind of led me into doing the leadership and taking ownership of actions and stuff like that.
I definitely didn't realize. I drew the clock way down on that one. My bad.
No, you're good. Great story, man. Great freaking story.
So we might have to do a part 2 of this one.
Yeah, they might have to be. One of mine is where we were about to do a big formation. It's a big ceremony, right? We have the general coming over. We have other people coming over, and being in S3 operations, you're part of setting up. You're part of being all of that, right? You're doing a lot of stuff with ceremonies. You got to dress the part. Well, we had a soldier that was getting actually booted out of the military, right? For personal reasons, we're not going to say, he was getting kicked out. Something like that.
Booze.
It wasn't booze. This one wasn't booze. But he was getting kicked out of the military.
No.
And man, that was a game changer, right? Because I'm sitting there, I just got to promotable. I'm stepping up and I'm trying to be that leader. And right. And one of the things that we got told, like, hey, make sure everyone show up in the best uniform that they have, nice boots, nice everything, because we are going to be in the front of the formation, right in front of the general. So we have to be presentable. Well, at this time, this soldier shows up and he's wearing a uniform that's dirty, has oil over it, everything. And I should have took him off to the side and talked to him. No, I went off on him right there in front of everyone, in front of the hallway and everything. And another person that was getting promoted like I was went off on me because I went off on him. Like I went off. I did the thing that you're not supposed to do. I went off and I went off on him.
If you were a private, you'd be like, that guy is mean. Yeah,
I did one of those. I went off on him, blew up on him, and basically degraded him as a human being. And then the owner dude came up to me and basically was like, you're a fucking dickhead. You need to stop doing what you're doing. Excuse my language, but that's basically what it was, right?
We're going to get kicked off of YouTube for that one.
Oh, yeah, definitely. But anyway, so I was like, all right, look, man. Afterwards, I was like, I don't know who that guy thinks he is, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, I was arrogant, very arrogant during that time. Right. Afterwards, I'm not going to lie. I actually, after a couple of years learning more about leadership, learning different things about leadership, that actually was a game changer because I was like, man, I look at that and I was like, I took that situation in a very wrong way. And I could have done better in that situation. And I actually called that guy that civilian now. He's a civilian. So I called him up and I was like, hey, man.
Well.
I was like, hey, look, the way I approached you during that was very bad. I apologize for that, and I'm sorry that I did that to you. I hope you forgive me for that. But if you can't, I completely understand. And we had a whole conversation. I talked about his life. He was all, hey, I'm happy that you reached out to me because no one in the unit has reached out to me. No one has talked to me since I got out. I'm like, you're still a human being. Because you decided to do one thing in the military does not make you a bad person. Just keep that in mind. If you ever need something, you can still reach out to me. I will still always be your leader no matter what, even if you got kicked out. So that was a great thing that I learned. And that's how I had to accept that failure. And I turn around and I basically try to fix my failures and try to fix it that way. Another one that I felt that because this was one of the things I want to say.
Gotta be quick.
Yes, I know. So I felt in a relationship, right? I felt in one of my relationships.
Haven't we all?
Yes, because I'm not. One thing I learned about myself is I'm not present in a relationship. I'm mostly like I'm there, but mentally I'm not there. So I had to learn that, right? But this one person that we went to a haunted house in October, and she was pretty into me and everything, and I failed because I let the best get to me, right? I let stuff in my head get to the best of me in a way. And that was one of the things I sat there. I was like, I cannot fail at this anymore. Like I realized the situation I'm in and I continue repeating it. But there's something that you wrote and I have it pulled up and I was going to read it real fast. It's yes, right here. The fear of failure is a very common obstacle when it comes to building yourself up mentally. So I think that's huge. I like what you said there. There's another thing you said about jobs. You said you're getting stuck in jobs, right? You didn't want to feel like you were getting stuck. And I think a lot of people have that fear of being stuck somewhere, and that's why they react the way they do. And
it is 100% true when they say you miss 100% of the opportunities you don't take. And you don't take those opportunities because you're afraid of failing.
Yes.
Take them. You might fail at 100, but if you succeed at 1, there you go.
This quote from, I think, Thomas Edison, when he was doing the light bulb, he was like, someone's like, why don't you quit trying to make the light bulb? And he's all, you failed over 100 times. And he's all, yeah, that's 100 ways I found that it wouldn't work.
Yeah, I like that quote. I know what you're talking about. It's not the full quote, but I get what you're saying. I get it.
Yeah, so it's pretty close, right? So something that, again, with Tim Kennedy, that saying he's turning 42 years old and he's excited for the failures that he's facing that year and the suffering that he's going to take. I look forward to that every single year now.
I'll end this off with that quote from Matthew Kichi-Heafy, the frontman of Trivium. Failure teaches us, it shapes us, it tests us in our weakest and most vulnerable moments. Only through struggle and failure can we dust ourselves off, overcome, and continue on our path to greatness.
Good. That's good. That's a good ender right there.
One of my favorite quotes of all time. So, yes. Obviously, subscribe. Thank you if you're here still. We love you. We really, really do. We hit, I think in this last episode, as of today, we hit 40 viewers on that episode, which is incredible. It's almost double what we're getting.
Yes.
So thank you guys so much for tuning in, for making it all the way. If you made it all the way, if you didn't, it's okay. We still love you. Thank you for interacting with us, commenting, and subscribing. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel. Thanks for giving us a like, helping the algorithm go up. Please share with your friends and your family and everybody around you. Even if you don't like them, go up to strangers and be like, hey, check these guys out. They're cool.
They're goofy.
So we have links in the description for Facebook, Instagram. We should have TikTok now and Twitter.
Yes.
So go click on those links.
TikTok. Thank you for everything on TikTok. Yeah, we're getting quite a bit of views on TikTok and whatnot. I'm getting a lot more views on my personal. Try to go to Fiddler Talk. Try to help Fiddler Talk out. Because again, the Fiddler Talk is going to be the foundation.
As long as you make it to the YouTube channel, they make it to the YouTube channel, right? So yeah, that's okay.
Look,
But thank you so much. We love you guys, and thank you for everything you guys do to help us get out there.
yes, thank you for all that. Finishing this up again. I am working on the page to get the geese and all that stuff from Combat Corner out. Trying to get the store up right now. Working on that. The only thing that we're working on, shirts and that stuff. All the merchandise that we're gonna have every time you purchase, that stuff is gonna go to the foundation, and the foundation is gonna build from there. So we're working on those. I'm trying to get those out. I was actually on a call today, and we were talking about that. About some of the stuff that we can do with the shirts, and we're looking out for a new design because one of our videos on TikTok. Look,
you'll know when we have them because we'll be wearing them.
Yes. One of our videos on TikTok. I'm gonna put this out there. If you were in Bandit when I was in Bandit, and with that NCO that said number one rule is no kink shaming, we are gonna make a shirt for that. I am working to get a shirt, and guess what? If you were in Bandit, you get a free shirt. Email me, I will get you a shirt. Text me.
A lot of money. You got to know the name of the guy who said it, though.
Yes, send me your name and everything. I will get you a free shirt. So as soon as we get that line dropped, yes, email me. I will get you that shirt. I will send it to you or personally drop it off. If you're in Colorado Springs, I will personally drop it off to you. I know it's a couple people out there. I know who you are. So
on that note, we're out of time.
Yes.
We put one out.
Saber Main.